Breaking news. The colossus Boeing faces an unprecedented crisis. Safety issues, the abrupt departure of its CEO, China blocking its flights, and a labor conflict erupting within its own facilities. What seemed like an isolated internal problem has turned into a storm that could shake the global economy, international politics, and the future of aviation. We are witnessing the fall of an icon of American dominance in the skies. Don't go away, because this story is about to change everything. Welcome to Global Alert. Boeing is going through a critical moment. Its CEO resigns. China closes its air borders. The White House threatens to impose severe tariffs, and part of its production could move to Mexico. This is not just an issue about airplanes. This dispute could impact your economy, your travel, and even your job. Stay tuned, because what happens with Boeing could transform the future of aviation, and yours as well. Before continuing, make sure to subscribe to the Global Alert channel so you don't miss the most relevant news of the moment. It all started with a decision that barely caught attention. Boeing, the aerospace giant that for decades represented American power in the skies, quietly announced it would move part of its production to Mexico. What seemed like a simple strategic move soon turned into a political firestorm. The White House reacted forcefully, imposing a 200% tariff on any aircraft manufactured outside U.S. territory. Overnight, Boeing faced the risk of losing access to the market it helped build. How did one of America's most emblematic companies come to clash with its own government? And what implications will this conflict have for global trade? The tension crystallized in a private call between the President of the United States and Boeing's CEO, Kay Orberg. At the end of the call, the dispute was no longer silent. Orberg refused to back down. He publicly announced the decision to move part of the assembly line to Mexico, causing shockwaves in the markets and a wave of indignation in Washington. For Boeing, it was a matter of survival after years of financial crises, safety problems, and fierce competition. But business logic matters little when politics decides to draw its own red lines. The administration quickly counterattacked. Any aircraft manufactured outside U.S. soil would face a 200% tariff before reaching local buyers. It was a direct blow to the core of Boeing's business. Orberg, with a defiant attitude, stated that the company's strategy would be guided by competition and survival, not political pressures. With those words, the conflict deepened, reflecting how far corporate freedom can go in a world where politics penetrates boardrooms. The tension spread beyond Washington, generating demands for U.S. companies to prioritize national loyalty over economic gains. Caro Bowen clarified that it was not about abandoning the country, but surviving in a globalized market where Airbus was advancing unburdened by politics. The dispute crossed borders when China, one of Boeing's main customers, imposed a 125% tariff, halting deliveries and leaving billions of dollars worth of planes grounded. The president accused Beijing of violating agreements, and the conflict escalated, affecting suppliers, transport routes, and major cities dependent on aviation. The confrontation between Boeing and Washington revealed the fragility of the global air sector. Thousands of components, years of planning, and millions of jobs can be shaken by a single political decision. It remains to be seen whether Orberg's resistance will be remembered as an act of brave leadership or reckless risk. When the tension began to ease, one truth became impossible to ignore. Today, companies must choose between political obedience or strategic autonomy. That decision will not only impact their profits, but also define the future of global trade. For Far Boeing, the answer will not be written in speeches but in how they navigate the next chapter of their story. What began as a tariff threat has become an emblematic case about business survival, supply chain vulnerability, and the struggle to maintain independence in a world where national borders no longer align with corporate strategies. From the pharmaceutical industry to semiconductors, every sector watches closely, recalculating its own paths. Amid this confrontation, Boeing's CEO spoke directly with the president, promising to align the company's interests with national priorities. He highlighted the symbolic importance of projects like Air Force One and assured that their planes would meet the highest safety, efficiency, and cost standards demanded by the government. Although the details of that conversation were never revealed, the message was clear. Cohen sought to protect his delicate relationship with Washington without ignoring the growing demands of international markets. This gesture broke with tradition. In American corporate history, rarely has a CEO challenged the president so openly and in full public view. It was a calculated risk, loaded with consequences that would depend on the reactions of regulators, investors, and international clients in the coming months. Instead of the usual silence from large corporations, Boeing decided to stand its ground and make clear that backing down was not an option. But Boeing's true challenge goes far beyond tariffs or White House pressure. On the horizon, its competitors continue advancing. China Comac gains ground in Asia and Africa with more efficient aircraft less affected by political disputes. Airbus, its historic rival, consolidates as the safest and most reliable alternative, capitalizing on distrust toward its American competitor. It all comes down to a crucial factor: trust. The trust of governments that depend on their aircraft for defense, the trust of airlines demanding on-time deliveries, and the trust of traveling public who need to regain faith in Boeing's commitment to safety and reliability. Now responsibility rests on Kai Orberg, a leader facing a test few executives experience in their careers. He has the mission to restore passenger confidence, navigate political pressures, care for his most valuable customers, and simultaneously meet Wall Street's demands. Financial reports show signs of recovery, with rising revenues and increased deliveries. But behind those numbers lie deep challenges. Boeing must retain top talent, rebuild quality control systems, and repair a damaged relationship with international regulators. Oversight is no longer limited to financial statements, but penetrates the core of operations and the soul of Boeing's reputation, once the ultimate symbol of aeronautical excellence. What happens here will have repercussions far beyond Boeing. Questions arise that the business world can no longer ignore. How should companies act when politics collide with global strategies? Is it possible to maintain loyalty to the home country while effectively competing abroad? How are national responsibilities balanced with the realities of international trade? The planet is preparing for a new era in aviation, with millions of passengers, innovative technologies, and fierce competition that allows no mistakes. Boeing faces a crucial dilemma: adapt or fall behind in a relentless market. The real question is not whether it will survive, but whether it can restore trust, lead innovation, and maintain its place in a world that evolves at a dizzying pace. Will Boeing be able to reinvent itself in time? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the decline of an aviation giant? What is your opinion? Will Boeing be reborn stronger, or will it be surpassed by those who understood the future? Share your point of view in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. See you in the next installment.